Welcome back. This is to JR Oil Paintings 101. Today we're going to do kind of a mountain lake scene. Has two big old trees on either side, mountain off in the distance here, a little lake here, and some foliage right in front. I already got the canvas all ready to go. We're all nice and got the liquid white on the canvas. I'm using a 20 by 24 stretch canvas, which is a wet on wet technique. For those of you that haven't seen any of my videos yet, I don't have too many of them out there yet, but here we go. We're going to go ahead and get started with a little bit of the sky. Not too much of the sky is going to be showing today with what I've got planned if we do this right, or if I do this right, however we want to say that. So we're just going to go into a little bit of the phthalo blue. I got my palette on the other side of the canvas here because I don't have much room here, so we're just going to do it this way. Just tap some color into the tip of your bristles there. You're just going to have a little bit of paint and start up here in the corners first. Just get a little bit of darker color and then just kind of work it back and forth. Back and forth here. We're just going to put in a little bit of sky. We're not going to worry about clouds today because, like I said, most of this is going to be covered up. I don't know exactly how much is going to be showing, but we're just going to put something up like that. And then just kind of smooth out the brush strokes. Just kind of blend those brush strokes in so you have a nice little sky. There's not going to be a whole lot. There's not going to be a whole lot of stuff in the sky. You're not going to see too much of this left. And we're going to have a little lake right here, so just very lightly back and even strokes. It's going to have calm water. You just going to have level strokes. Just level it. Otherwise, it's not going to look right if you all cattywampus one way or the other. Not sure exactly how big this lake's going to be, so we'll just kind of go over here a little bit. Whatever we don't use as a lake, we'll cover up with foliage or land or something. That's a great thing about this wet on wet stuff. You can cover up what you don't want to use. I think right there, that'll probably be enough. And that's going to be what we're going to do first. Now we're going to put in our first little deal, we're going to have a kind of a distant mountain right over here. It's going to be kind of in the background, so it's not going to be real big, and not going to have a ton of, can't even talk today. It's not going to have a ton of details in it, but we're going to have some. This was a very special place that up in Alaska called the Cluton Lake. It's up in the mountains, beautiful area. I was able to go there a couple of times with some family, and I would love to get back there one of these days. But we'll see if we ever get back there or not. Alaska's a gorgeous place. If you've never been, you should look up some pictures of it. Go if you can. I know they're getting expensive, but here we go. We're going to put off a little distant mountain right over here. This is I mixed my mountain color up. We got phthalo blue, Van Dyke brown, black, and alizarin crimson. I don't like to put green in my mountains if I'm going to have any snow on there, because it'll give off just a little bit of a greenish tint to your snow. That's not real good. Nobody really wants green snow. It doesn't taste like lime, by the way, if you do ever run into green snow. But we're going to have a little distant mountain about right here, I guess. We're just going to have a nice little mountain today. Not too huge. See if we can keep them small. Sometimes my mountains start off small and grow on you. They grow on me some days. Now what we're looking for is a real distinct edge up top. We're not too worried about the middle or the bottom of this mountain just yet. We'll get to it. Right now we just want that nice crisp clean line up top. That's what you see in a mountain that's kind of off in the distance. That's what really stands out. It's that top edge. Rest of it's kind of dusty and musty and everything. You don't really see it too much. Indistinct the rest of it is, but this top edge is what we're looking for. So we're just going to go up right there. That's going to be about it. I love painting mountains. That's usually what I paint most of the time. This will be the first one for my channel here. I wanted to start out with a little simpler paintings before I got into the more complex ones. They tend to take a little longer, so we're going to bust this up into several parts like we did the last ones. So after we get the distinct edge here, I'm going to take your big 2-inch brush and try not to touch that top edge here. We want to leave that as distinct as we can. And just grab that paint, pull the same angle that your mountain is going this way, and then go back this way. You can see the brush lines. I almost put your highlights and lowlights in there for you if you want one that's really far off. You don't have to do anything else but that. I don't know if you can see it on the camera or not, but you can see you just put your little highlights in there, lowlights, and you could actually call that a good mountain right there if you wanted to, and just dust up the edges a little bit. Make your misty area, but we're not going to do that. I want a little bit more detail in this painting, or in this mountain. Now, we're going to mix up a couple of colors here before we get started on the highlights and lowlights. However, titanium white is just going to be the highlight color. We're going to have the snow on the mountain, and we're going to have phthalo blue and white as the highlight or the low light color. It's the shadows, the low lights. You don't want too much phthalo blue. It'll eat that white up, and it'll be just a real booger to get it back to being light again. So you just want a very pale blue on the low light color. Yeah, we should do it like that, I think. Now with me, I just always like to have the light coming in from the right. I'm right-handed, so I think that's probably why I like to have it on the right so much. I've done the lefty before, but to me, I just like it this way. So just take your little roll of paint on the edge of your knife there. Make sure it's on the very edge of the knife here, just a little roll, and hold it very lightly. This is going to be a very light touch. This takes a lot of practice. It took me forever to get this down. But it's a very light touch. Just grabbing your knife on 2 fingers. Don't put any other finger. Don't put one down here. You put too much pressure on your knife. Just hook it twice and just steady it with the other fingers, but very, very lightly. You're just barely going to graze that canvas, and it'll pull off what it wants, but just barely graze that, just like that. And what you want is you want it to break like that. You want that base color to shine through the snow. That's what gives you your appearance of a good, really strong mountain. And we're going to do the same thing all over again right here. And just pay attention to your angles and where your light's coming from. Make sure all your snow is on this side if your light's coming from here. So it's always going to be on the right. You don't want snow over here, your light color over here, and the light over here. It can look very strange. So just keep you going about that way. Like I said, we're not going to put a ton of details in these mountains because they're going to be kind of distant mountains. This is just kind of a background for the lake and the trees. But I do love painting these mountains. They're so nice when they're done right. Alright, I've got a lot of them back. I got a lot of paintings with some pretty good looking mountains, and then I got a ton of them, and they just don't work. They didn't work for me. When I first started, I was having heck with this, with mountains. I never could get it right. It took me forever to get this light touch down. You do want one little note to add to this white. Make sure when you're buying your paint, you need a real firm oil paint, nothing too oily, because if it gets too oily, this is real thin paint, it won't break like that. It'll just kind of, well, I mean, almost like you're frosting a cake, and it doesn't look right. That was some of my problem before, was my paint wasn't quite right. There we go. I think that's all we're gonna do. We're gonna put the low lights in now, same way. You're going to just have that little roll of paint on the edge of your knife, but that's that light color of blue. And then you're just going to go the opposite angle. And actually, I'm going to do that with a small knife, so we're going to start it over here, actually. And same way, just a very light touch. And this is what gives your mountain its depth and its 3D appearance. Because shoot, if we just got half a mountain right there, if you don't have a dark side with it. Gotta have that, the low lights in there with the highlights, or just don't look right. I'm gonna switch to the smaller knife here, because that big one don't like to get into some of these spots. And just leave a little, wherever there's highlights, you need the low lights on the opposite side just to make it look like it's something. If it doesn't, you don't have them low lights, you ain't got enough, you got about a half a mountain. I don't know about you, but half mountains are weird looking. I've actually seen one out in the wild before. I guess they're out there. Anyway, you can play with these mountains and play with them and play with them until they, like I say, they can grow on you if you're not careful. But this particular one, that's about all we're going to do with that mountain. And that's how you do a little background mountain with just a little sky. Now, like I say, we're going to have some overhanging trees on each side, so it's going to kind of box in that mountain. The other thing I should add, if you're going to do your mountain, don't put it dead center of that canvas. Don't have that first big peak right dead center of the mountain, or canvas. Have that offset one side or the other of dead center, because it just won't look right if it's dead center. It just feels off. Have it one side or the other, just a little off center. This is your major peak here, so I didn't get it dead center somewhere right around here. But just have it off center just a little bit, and I think you'll like that a little better. So that's part one of today's painting. Part two will be up here in just a little bit, but that's part one. Oh, I forgot one little deal. You almost let me forget this. Some of you that have painted before this technique knew what I forgot. Ones that didn't. But here, you've got to add a little mist to it. Just gonna tap the edge of that mountain, just to diffuse that bottom edge just a little bit. Go the angle of your mountain. Don't just go like this. If the angle's coming this way, tap down in the bottom of this, same way. It's all along that. See, I diffused it, and then this side, you're going to tap the other way, the opposite way, just to get that a little more indistinct edge there. And then we're just, and you just lightly pull up, just barely touch the canvas there. It's going to take out tap marks to it. There we go. And now the mountain's finished. And so with that, I'm going to sign off for part one, and we'll get started on part two. Now, thanks for tuning in, and all the ones that have tuned in so far. I appreciate you. I hope you come back. My first two paintings, they weren't my best. So just try this one, and I'll be back with part two shortly. Thanks for tuning in.